So hello everybody to this second English webinar. Now the topic is AutoCAD Plant 3D 2021, new features and BIM360 Design workflow. Just checking from time to time the attendees. So some of you already followed me yesterday when I talked about the news in Plant Tools. Tomorrow I have the 2 p.m. session is about the overview of the Plant Express Tools functions, if you are interested in that. So yeah, I'm the product manager of Plant Tools, but again, in this session, it's about AutoCAD Plant 3D. And I'm in the plant or process plant business for 32 years now. I started in '88 with AutoCAD Release 9. And I also developed software. I use the software, not just the P9D or Plant 3D, also the software before that. And in general, I'm doing consulting for Auxalia for process plant. And my expertise is, of course, AutoCAD P9D / Plant 3D 2009 to 2021. And now with the new 2021 version, I have to, become an expert, so to speak, also for BIM360 Docs and Design. And my specialty is the databases for Plant 3D and the database structure, of course, SQLite and SQL Server. So for all of you who joined in a little bit later, hi Carlos, hi Greg. So I have a lot of existing customers, Ola, but also some new names. So this session is recorded and will be sent to all the people who registered. Okay, so you know how I'm looking right now, not like the picture. So I have this nice hat made last year in Las Vegas for Autodesk University. Unfortunately, this year, Autodesk University will not happen anywhere on the globe. I was really looking forward because well, that's a story for 6 p.m. Join me and Greg, then we can talk more about that. So I will just go away now. So Auxalia is a company made out of last year of CAD Studio, Upcom, and Bytes and Building here in Germany. And we are the biggest the biggest Autodesk partner in the German-speaking area here in Central Europe in the construction industry, which process plant is also in the eyes of Autodesk process construction. Yeah, we have over 17 people. These are our locations here in Germany, also one in Switzerland, in Vienna or Austria, and a new one in Munich. Okay, so this is the very long list of news in Plant 3D 2021. So the first one, insulation in 3D and orthos, and then Pcf file that has to do with ISOs, and then of course the BIM360 design integration or workflow. Okay, let's start with the presentation. So I have here my 3D drawing with some two pipes, but yeah, the important thing is, so I gave them an insulation. That's a metric project. So for all of you who work with inches, don't get confused about 25. It's not 25 inches of insulation. So I turned them on, and now the insulation is shown in a transparent mode and not as a full rendered version. So you can see the pipe within the insulation, which gives you, of course, an idea or an estimation of how thick the insulation is. So that's in 3D. But now we have options for ortho drawings. So I will go to an empty ortho drawing here, and I will, I should maybe load the English Plant 3D. Not really important, but yeah, of course I should do this. Okay. And that's the German one, that's the English one. So in the ortho drawings, we have now various options on how to present the insulation. So let's open the 3D drawing. Actually, we do not need to open the drawing. So let's just open the empty ortho drawing. And now we create a new drawing. And I use now only the piping, not the equipment, because I want to concentrate on the insulation. Okay, that's the box we are used to. The scale. Okay, I see now. Okay, that's just fine. The scale is not important. So typically, or so far, you had only this option here. No hidden lines for the. So you had no hidden lines at all. Hidden line piping. So only the pipelines showed hidden lines, or all hidden lines, including equipment, steel, and whatnot. So often the people used hidden lines, but that's really up to you. And here's a new option, which I will come to in a second, or maybe a minute. So let's insert our view. And we have, well, the line type scale, or what is it in English? LT scale is not set properly. 5, maybe 10. Yeah, there you see now hidden lines. Okay, so this is how it looked so far. Now let's edit the view. And let's use the option for insulation. So let's take the first one, which then, as you will see, shows now the piping within the insulation and the insulation itself. And the last option would, or is, to show, did I select, what did I actually, I think, not quite sure actually what I selected. Yeah, that I was confused. So the last option, really the last one in the selection list, is show, or will then show only the outside. Actually, sorry. Yeah, and this is what actually confused me. I reported this to Autodesk because the description here makes sense only if you use no hidden line. So then, in this case, so now we have only the insulation without the piping inside. So I was right after all. So this is only, okay, yeah. So this is showing only the insulation without, well, I turned off the piping or the hidden lines for the piping at all. And the other option would be, or is, using it's really confusing. You don't see what you actually selected. It always selects, should not, then I should use this one. Yeah, now you see the piping and the insulation. And again, so these two options for the lines and for the insulation, they interfere or can interfere. Okay, so now what I will do is I will turn off the insulation and so that's the setup we had so far. And you have the option to use an insulation tool similar to isometric drawings. I should, of course, select a line which actually has an insulation. So again, that's metric, so don't get confused. So you can place that symbol, then you update the view, so the pipe within the symbol will be hidden. So this is how it looks, and maybe we use a different text style, which looks a little bit nicer, but that's just optics. Okay. So this is how it looks like. The block itself, since I think we don't have any German users here, in German there was actually a bug in the symbol. The symbol is in your project. That's actually not my project. Here, Keynotes. That's the one. Orthos, style, and here in the ortho symbol styles, there is the block, which is plant pipe insulation. So if you want to make any changes, use that block. But yeah, you have to play around. Unfortunately, these are hard-coded. Well, these are attributes, which then represents the thickness and the insulation type. But you cannot use any other property from your line. So it's just limited to this. I don't know why they did it, but they did. Okay, closing the drawing. So this is insulation in 3D and in orthos. Now can close that. The Pcf files for each sheet of paper. So what I will do is I will open my 3D drawing, the same pipe, and I will before I will create the ISO for that. There is in the configuration file a new setting, which is unfortunately, well, as it is so for so many configs, there is a new switch, enable Pcf Pcf per drawing, and that's set to true now. By default, it's set to false. What that does is, if I create an isometric drawing, check A2, that should do it. Check A2 or F final A2. We will see. I think final. I'm wrong. Final. Anyway, so I already did this. So what happens is if it creates the ISO here under drawings, you get the ISO. Let's see. Well, we have 2 pages here as well. So that's check A2. Let's have a look at check A2. That would be here. Production, drawings. So now you get, for each of the DWGs, you get a Pcf file, which then contains, of course, only the parts which are in that drawing, and that can be used for, I don't know, bending machines or for bill of materials of some sort, but it is a separate Pcf file, or for stress analysis and so on. That is apparently a requirement a lot of customers had. So this is why Autodesk developed it. So this is nothing more than the switch, but can help someone who needs a Pcf file for each drawing. Okay, now the BIM 360 part, which is of course the biggest part. So what I will do is I will use this project, which is now a local or a network project, like just a regular project. So the first step is you have this project, or you just started a project, and you need to share it with BIM 360 Design. So for this, you go to Collaborate, and then there is a Share Project button, and then you can upload it. Of course, to do this, you need a BIM 360 Design license and account to be able. Otherwise, you get a message, well, you don't have a license. So I click on Get Started. And then I get a list of my project folders. By the way, for those of you who are in Europe, there is also the possibility now to use a cloud server which is hosted in Europe. I think in Ireland, but I'm not quite sure. But this has to do with the GDPR, I think is the English translation. By the way, for those of you who came a little later, this session is recorded, just saying. Okay, so this is my project folder. I upload the project, and then it takes a while, which I can fill. It says 15 minutes. I don't think so. So what happens now, it uploads all the files. And of course, to do that, no one can be in that project other than you. But so if your colleagues are still working on it, that will not work. So it needs to be, it will be now uploaded, all the files. The data of your databases from your project will not be available directly anymore. So the data, let's say you use SQLite files, then you will in a moment see they are not there anymore. So all the project data is stored in the Amazon cloud, and you don't have any direct access to it. What I also should mention is, if you are familiar with BIM 360 Team or Vault, the workflow is the same. Maybe with Volt it's a little bit different, but all the let's say buttons or the functions we have here under Collaborate and in the Project Manager, they are the same, whether it's BIM 360 Team, and you still can use BIM 360 Team projects. Or if it's BIM 360 Design, it's the same. If you installed, and I highly recommend this, the Autodesk Desktop Manager, Desktop Connector, sorry, then you can have a look at, well, then you see BIM 360 if it's installed, and then here I have my project folder, and then there is project files, and I see projects, but not the one, my new one I'm currently uploading. For that, just because it's not quite as, let's say, up to date as Dropbox or OneDrive, so just I press F5 to update. Hold on. It should update, or is it still in a stage? Apparently it's still in a stage where it's not at a, so I cannot actually see it. I should be. Anyway, so let's see, it's almost done. Since I didn't delete any unnecessary specs in my project, this will take or upload all the specs to the project, to the cloud. Drive Auxalia does script to move. Oh, okay. Yeah. So a question here about Desktop Connector and being accessible through, let's say, well, batch files or DOS batch files or script, move, download, upload. Yes, actually. Oh, batch file, I have no experience, but you can use drag and drop or you can delete files. However, in regards to Plant 3D specifically, okay, next question. Well, let me finish BIM regarding BIM 360 and Desktop Connector. So you can upload files, and let's see. Hopefully we now see them. Let me refresh. Yeah, now it's here. I was a little bit impatient. So now you see all the files, and for example, P90s. And here it is. It's just one P90, but the 3D drawings. So you have the files. You can copy them from there and copy them into another project, but you shall not just, let's say, use some other file or assume that you just drag and drop them in here and they are showing up in Project Manager, or you have the same, you just use a newer file and override it. I highly do not recommend this. But if you want to add other files, Excel sheets or so, and you create some folder here, that's all fine. You can do that here. That's the purpose of the Desktop Connector. Now, in regards to Plant Tools, although that is not a Plant Tool session, but that's a fair question, Plant Tools and BIM 360 projects. My one developer is finishing today and tomorrow a feature for a customer, and then he will look into Plant Tools for BIM 360. It's not really easy because Autodesk doesn't really have documentation for developers for that, and several things. I'm not quite sure if it will work. However, we will look into this, what we can do right away, which, for example, the symbols palette of Plant Express tools will work right away. But if you talk about tools like Plant Data Manager, which needs access to the data, that's a different story. And the main problem we have is the access to the data, to the databases, which do not exist anymore, as I mentioned, and we don't have access to the data in the cloud. So what? Let me explain a bit the workflow. The workflow of Plant 3D with BIM 360. It doesn't matter, Volt, Team, or Design. It's always the same. And if you, yeah, I should not click on that. I should explain it first. So the way it works is you open a project from BIM 360, from the cloud, from BIM 360 Design, and let's say you didn't have the project open yet or before on your machine. What happens then? It downloads the well, maybe I show that. But first, I will come back to that question because I want to show that anyway. So then you can see it. So at the end, after the project has been uploaded, I can invite people. I will skip over that for now, and I will show you in my virtual machine, which I switched to now. I have here, now let's start the English. I also have, actually, no, yeah, I have the desktop connector, but more importantly, docs, okay. No, that was not what I wanted. Okay. Am I still logged in? Let's see. Yep, okay. Never mind the German. So, but you don't see this project here. You would, because this here I'm with a different username. So you don't see that. And this is what it is meant by inviting people. So if you want to invite someone to the project who's not in your company, let's say a customer or some vendor you want to invite to the project, and or some subcontractor, what you need to do is you give him access. And you do this by, first of all, I need to refresh here as well. So now here in BIM360 Docs, we also see the project. But if we look, let me just move my panel away. There is a section permissions, and you see these are my colleagues, but my other user, the one in the virtual machine, is not listed here. So I will actually do this. And only if you do that, then the other person can access it. Then there is the permission level. So this is the big thing Autodesk promoted for BIM360 design and docs, also together with Plant 3D. However, you almost need at least the last two you can use, unless you have someone who you invite who is only supposed to view documents, but he cannot actually download. So view documents is then you can view the drawings within BIM360 Docs here in the web interface. But if he's supposed to use Plant 3D, then you need to have either view, download, upload, edit, or full control, folder control. So I will use this, and I add myself with again different username to the list. You see now the different email addresses here. That's my Auxalia email address. So this is mandatory if you have want to invite someone. And now I go into my virtual machine. Now if I refresh this, I will see the project here, which means that I also can open it now. Well, not directly, but now you see it here. And now I can actually open it in Plant 3D. So now I come to the explanation where I stopped before. So what happens now, so I never opened this project on this machine. If I now open it through Project Manager, then Plant 3D downloads only the necessary files. So now we have here Open Collaboration Project. It downloads only the necessary files to save time, of course. And so I get a list in a moment. Okay, that's my project here. But it will not, for example, download every pipe spec or every drawing, P90 or 3D, because it's not necessary. And so if you would like to use now, and coming back to tools like Plant Data Manager or Plant Reporter, and actually what I say for Plant Reporter applies to Report Creator as well. If you want to use a Report Creator, let's stay with that. Plant Reporter, you cannot open a collaboration project. You can open only your local project, the copy. So before you create a report, you must make sure that your local copy of the project, which I now have here, is up to date, that the data in that local database is downloaded completely and currently, yeah, that you have the most current version of your data from the cloud on your local machine. Otherwise, your report would be incomplete or wrong. So this, when I open the project, this now happened. So if you want to make sure, you can make a right click and say refresh from project. That makes sure that all the data from the cloud is up to date on your local machine. And for example, this function, it's not clear, can we execute this through Plant tools? So is just one minor step we need to figure out, but Autodesk has also told us they will help us if we need something, so we will see. Do you create program for update project? Do you create program for update? Yeah, that's the problem. No, not the problem. It's the wrong expression. So what my developer will, I created a specification for my developer to go through all the various things we need to cover in order to adapt Plant tools for BIM 360. And one of those is, can this command I manually executed, refresh from project, can I execute that externally? That would be perfect. Then I could start Plant Data Manager and open the project from BIM 360. That's possible, but I need to start that command to download the data as well, because there is no API for that. What I'm doing here, opening collaboration project, everything that happens then is done by Autodesk for Plant 3D specifically, and I'm not aware that there is an API which we can use. So we could, of course, now I'm getting into technical details, but we could download all the data like Plant 3D does, but the data, the project data, is stored somewhere else. And for that, we need to be able to execute that command, preferably outside AutoCAD Plant 3D. If it's not possible, then the next question would be, could Plant Data Manager, for example, start in the background AutoCAD with a project, execute that command within Plant 3D, and then close Plant 3D. But that, of course, means you need to have Plant 3D installed on the machine. But again, that's kind of a workaround. But we have to check what is possible, and then if it's not possible, ask Autodesk if they can help us, if they want to. Someone raised his hand. Not quite sure who. Yeah, Johan, hi. Sorry, I need to continue with my presentation. I will come back to questions, but first I would like to have some red line in my presentation. So now I have the project here, and we have different symbols now. So first of all, with a B, you see that's a collaboration project, and then you see this question mark, or the symbol with a question mark. That means the drawing would be available or is available for you, but it's not on your machine yet. If I, for example, open my 3D drawing, then it opens this drawing, and now because they are all XREFed, it has to download also the other 3D drawings. So now you see the symbol changed also for the other drawings, and the 3D 100 gets a green check sign because I currently use that file. So now I'm in the drawing, and maybe I insert something, or whatever, some valve, just to make a change. Okay, it'll download some more pipe specs for placeholder. Okay, let's close that. So now, if I'm done, I close the drawing, or I save, but eventually I close the drawing. If I close the drawing or save the drawing, then the drawing and its data are uploaded to the cloud. Again, the drawing as a DWG file to all the other files, and the data to the cloud. And now it's free so it's available for other users. Otherwise, of course, other users would get a message it cannot be used. And I should also mention this: if you upload a project to the cloud, the original project will not be modified. So it creates a copy and uploads that to the cloud. So this is, yeah, after the upload, I'm here in my drawing. So now, this is also an example. I close the drawing in my virtual machine, and here it still looks that it's checked out by the other user, because by default, every 15 minutes, your data, that includes your project data from the cloud, the one I'm talking about constantly, but also the status of your drawings. Is it used by another user, and so on. That is checked every 15 minutes as a default value. You can change it, but having it faster kind of interferes with your work. Or you can use a longer time or do it manually. So since this still shows, no, not here, as being locked, what I can do here again, I need to refresh from project. And now it checks with the cloud, and we'll see in a moment, we will see that it's actually the drawing is available. Come on. Okay, so it is actually available. It's just that the 15 minutes weren't over. So you have to use that command quite often. Now, of course, we see the new valve in it, like we would see in a network environment or so. Okay, I will not use that. So what I will do now is I will, let's say, create a new drawing in my virtual machine. So new drawing, and we call that PID 002. And let's go to model space. And I will actually, no, I don't have, oops. I need my symbols palette. I don't have plant tools installed. Again, the symbols palette from Plant Express tools would work right away, or not would, is working right away. So I will create a pump with a tag P100, 001. Okay, I did not save yet. If I don't save, it's not stored locally, and it's of course not checked in to my to the cloud. So here, now I'm back in on my local machine. I open the PID 1, and I also use a pump. Let's use this. It's not insert. So I didn't save any of these two drawings of these two different users. So what I will do now is I close and save this one. What I should have shown also, well, now the drawing is checked in and its data is checked in. What I should have shown, but I still can, is the data manager. So if we look at data manager, come on, and we say project data, we see just one pump because the other drawing is not checked in, and also its drawings are not checked in. So this is, you see the potential problems, and a lot of my, well, colleagues and people who are talking to other customers, they are not really happy with that, but that's just the situation. So be aware that you have to refresh from project quite often. So also here, if I click here, we see just, well, hold on, project data, we see only the pump, actually this pump here, that's this pump here, not the other one. I should have entered the drawing number, then we would have seen it, but this is this pump here. So now let's check in that drawing. So I close it, and well, that's not enough in this case because it's a new drawing. I need to actually check it in this way. Here you can also type in some comments if you want. But anyway, checking that in. So now the data, the drawing is checked in, or the DWG and its data. Come on, faster. But again, I will now look at data manager. And this is really, I cannot stress that enough. It's important that you are very cautious about trusting the data in general in data manager, or and that applies then also for a report, if you want to create a report. So we still see just one pump because the 15 minutes are not over. So we don't see the pump from the other drawing. So what I can do is I can, or have to do, or must do, I need to refresh. Now it's downloading the data from the cloud. So my drawing, the pump from the other drawing is already in the cloud, but this machine here, my virtual machine, is not up to date in that regard. So now I need to refresh data manager, and now we see two pumps and we see question mark. But we never, okay, now here we got a question. So eventually you may get a message that there is a double tag, which is actually not quite true, because let me now I'm on my desktop machine again. So I will refresh from project here as well and see what's happening now. Here I have twice the same tag. I sent this to Autodesk. It's very easy to reproduce. I sent them a video, and eventually you can get rid of it, but I don't feel very good. And here we talk about two pumps, and okay, I can follow that. But if you have thousands of objects, I would have really problems with that. Anyway, but this is how it works with BIM360, the workflow. So constantly refreshing, especially if it's about the data. Can you, if you want to create a report or so, how up to date is it? So this is actually okay. That would be correct, but on my other machine, let me refresh again. Really interesting. Well, still not. Only, I think, let's see. I think when opening, I'm not quite sure which one actually has the question mark. I think I will get a message. No, not even that. In my demo I did in German 3 hours ago, there at least when I opened I got a message. So you can see that's really troublesome. They actually sent me a DLL, which I can manually load and then run it, and then it actually fixes that issue here, which, why is there not a question mark in one of the drawings? Anyway, pumps. So I really would like customers to use that, and Autodesk of course would also like, but a lot of customers, well, I don't want to have all these support questions at the end. Why are my data not correct? But again, coming back to also Plant Tools, that was also a question. We will work in a few days. We'll start looking into all the things we need to cover, and then we can see, okay, which parts we can cover without too much hassle. So we can then adapt these Plant Tools or these functions of Plant Tools to the BIM360 workflow. And yeah, so I think that concludes this presentation. Just thinking, yeah, I have just a very few slides left, which is, yeah, tips and tricks. So we have by now also a blog on our homepage. If you go to auxalia.com and switch to English, and then you can go to a Plant blog, there is a context menu, and here we already have some content for, well, either Plant Tools or, yeah, here's also the new features stuff. So the question is, can I make a list which functions not going to work in Plant Tools with BIM360, obviously? Well, that would be a long list. A much shorter list would be what functions actually would work. Honestly, it's not a lot of functions which will work. Plant clash detection is working. The symbols palette is working, and there are some functions with very minimum, let's say, workaround. They can also be used, like calculations, because the calculations are stored in the configuration for the calculations, or link configurations. They are stored in the project folder, which is now on the cloud. So if we would just upload them, or you could actually upload those files to the with a connector, with a desktop connector, you upload them, and on the other machines you can download them, so they are on your local project. So I will make a list, which I already did, but that's kind of with too much detail for the developer. But I will make a list where I can see, or where a user can see, okay, this is how you could make that work with BIM360 projects. But it's really a topic we will address, or one of my developers will address, the other one has to develop for customers. But the one developer will take a look at this for starting next week to get an idea which functions we can implement with a workaround, which we can implement directly, and where we need help from Autodesk and so on. Okay. Yeah, again, as I mentioned, this was recorded for those of you who joined later. Actually, I don't think so. Well, BJ came along later. Hi, BJ. So this session, yeah, is recorded and will be made available to you by email for all the people who registered for that. Okay, have a nice day. And Craig, talk to you soon.